fire was coming closer and closer and closer. So we realized that, we need to get out. We need to get mom out. We don't have time yet to really think about the next steps.
We're still here, and we're just searching for each other to pull us through.
Pulling through indeed. Many LA homeowners didn't have insurance after the price of premiums skyrocketed. We're taking a deep dive into how the devastating wildfires in Los Angeles could impact homeowners insurance around the country in what's already a difficult landscape. And we talk with the former Texas insurance commissioner about why so many health insurance claims are denied and what you can do to make sure you really get the coverage you need. Now, we've seen how dynamic pricing can cause gas prices, Uber rides, and concert tickets to surge. But there is one upside. A new report reveals when prices are the lowest for shopping online. And the shortage of quality childcare often forces parents to forego jobs or education. We're going to take a look at this issue, and we are rounding up some resources that can help families. And welcome to Dollars and Cents. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm your host, Heather Sullivan. We've been watching with broken hearts the devastating wildfires in Los Angeles that have taken lives and thousands of homes and businesses. It's set to become one of the most destructive fires in the state's history. The California wildfires will inflict a serious financial toll on homeowners and insurance companies. The latest cost estimate for wildfire damage is now $150 billion and climbing. To put that in perspective, the 2018 Camp Fire, remember that one in Northern California? Well, that cost $30 billion. And that fire was considered the state's most expensive to date. And of course, that's just been blown out now. On top of this, back in July, State Farm dropped about 1,600 insurance policies just in Pacific Palisades. So the economic scope of this disaster could have serious ramifications for homeowners not only in California, but across the country. Fox Business reporter Jerry Willis breaks it down.
The tragedy of the California wildfires is setting in motion an insurance crisis after major insurers left the market last year. California's largest insurer, State Farm, canceled 72,000 policies last February, 30,000 of which were homeowner policies. And now the state's insurer of last resort, called the FAIR Plan, will likely be overwhelmed by billions in claims it will receive over the coming days and weeks. The 90272 zip code of Pacific Palisades experienced 1,930 policy cancellations between 2019 and 2024. That's 28 out of every 100 policies. That according to the San Francisco Chronicle. This is leaving many Californians without home insurance. Listen.
They think that they have valued their home at a certain amount, and they find out later that their insurance carrier was just using some algorithm that had nothing to do with the actual replacement cost of their home. And then also just this massive level of devastation.
As a result, homeowners have had to turn to the state's FAIR program, an insurance pool. The Pacific Palisades is the fifth largest user of FAIR policies in the state, with nearly $6 billion in exposure. But the FAIR program has only $700 million on hand to pay claims. Insiders have known about challenges to the state pool for years, one calling FAIR a ticking time bomb. Some context from Realtor.com, which is owned by our parent company. Just 5.5% of homes in the U.S. face the risk of wildfire damage, but 39.1% of them are in California, and L.A. is the riskiest city. And California policyholders, even those not in an affected area, should keep an eye out for higher assessments as a result of the unprecedented destruction in L.A. In New York, Jerry Willis, Fox Business.
And of course, we've certainly experienced here in Texas some issues with insurance and disasters. And 2 insurers stopped writing new homeowners policies in Texas last year. And then, of course, there was the recent murder of the United Healthcare CEO that's shining a new light on health insurance and denials. So I had a chance to talk with a former Texas insurance commissioner about these issues. And believe me, it was an eye-opening discussion. Oh, we all know too well, from fires to flooding, even sickness, there are a number of issues Americans are facing when it comes to getting the insurance coverage they need. This morning, I am joined by Kent Sullivan. He's the former Texas Commissioner of Insurance and current counsel at Lanier Law Firm, to discuss some of these flaws and hopefully some solutions. Thanks so much for being with us, Kent.
Happy to be with you.
Well, we're planning, of course, to talk about health insurance today, but with the fires we're watching right now in California, it really has been raising the issue that Texans are seeing. We're seeing insurance companies canceling policies or, limiting things that they're covering. What are your thoughts as you're seeing this issue grow, and what advice would you have for consumers to make sure their homes are covered for some of this stuff?
Well, Texas and California is like comparing apples to oranges in many respects. I mean, California's situation is very unique. The Texan with the average homeowners policy is generally going to have coverage for fire and smoke damage, so there's no real issue there. The real problem in California, I think, is the availability of coverage. And that's been a combination of the unique problems of the California geography and bad government policy in California. So California's situation is pretty unique.
Okay, that gives us a little bit of some easier breathing here. But let's talk now about health insurance, because we've obviously seen this new spotlight really shining on health insurance denials. First, how common is this issue for health insurance denials? How common did you see this issue come up when you were commissioner?
Well, it really depends on what sort of plan you're in. And a lot of people don't understand how balkanized insurance is. They think of it in kind of a monolithic way, but it's not monolithic at all. As the state insurance regulator, we only regulated 10 to 15% of the market. We only regulated fully insured plans. Most people get their health insurance through their employers, and those are self-insured plans for the most part. And so the end result is those are regulated at the federal level through the federal ERISA statute and the Federal Department of Labor. So you really have to take a look at what sort of plan you're dealing with and what the likelihood is that denials are going to be a problem.
Okay, well, let's dive down into some of the issues. As commissioner, what do you think are some of the issues with the overall insurance system in terms of being there for consumers? What are some of the flaws? And what do you think are some of the solutions that need to happen?
Well, some of the problems associated with healthcare insurance go as far back as World War II. But in the last decade or so, we've certainly added to those problems. What you see now, just in the last 10 to 15 years, is a significant increase in vertical integration, market concentration on the part of 4 or 5 major health insurers. They own and have created many entities that are involved in the marketplace these days. When you hear references to PBMs, to GPOs, TPAs, the administrators that actually administer the private sector employer plans. All of those are, generally going to be entities that are owned or controlled by the same companies that own or control the major health insurers. So you've got that level of concentration that you never had before. And the end result is you have a handful of companies that are on all sides of most healthcare transactions these days. That creates real potential conflicts of interest and just real problems for consumers.
Really quickly, what do you think are the solutions? What do we need to be doing? What can consumers do?
Well, first of all, employers are absolutely key in this. Most people get their health insurance still from employers. And so employers need to be very proactive about, demanding access to the information about their plan. It's counterintuitive, but many employers don't have ready access to all of the financial and transactional information that is relevant to their own plan. It's walled off from them by these very same entities that say that, this information is proprietary secret, a trade secret, that sort of thing, which is candidly just But you've got to get that, you've got to audit that, and that's the first line of protection for most employees.
Okay.
Is to have an aggressive employer that takes their fiduciary responsibilities seriously.
Good to know. Kent Sullivan, former insurance commissioner for Texas, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate your insights.
Thank you, Heather.
All right, moving on now. Let's take a look at the proposed the TikTok ban, and the TikTok's fate really is now in the hands of the U.S. Supreme Court. The law banning it is on the table for the court, and Taylor Winkle with Fox 13 in Seattle takes a look at what's at stake.
Yeah, it really is wild to see how much revenue posting daily videos on this app has brought some of its most popular users. When you look at the lifestyles of some of the top creators, the social media analytics website Social Blade reports influencers like Charlie D'Amelio and Cabby LeMay are making upwards of $90,000 per an upload. TikTok itself says around 2 million creators would suffer $3 million in lost earnings in just 1 month, and 7 million small businesses across the U.S. that use the app will lose out on $1 billion in revenue. The app itself was valued by investors at more than $84 billion last year, all while the U.S. Justice Department claims it's collecting swaths of data from tens of millions of Americans that could be used for espionage or blackmail.
Congress doesn't care about what's on TikTok. They don't care about the expression. That's shown by the remedy. They're saying the Chinese have to stop controlling TikTok.
Meantime, TikTok is such a powerful force over our spending that 1 out of every 4 people will buy something after they watch a beauty TikTok. Influencers primarily make money from posting videos with brands, so it's possible that they could take their following from TikTok to another platform. But even still, President-elect Donald Trump wants to save TikTok and ask the Supreme Court to pause the ban until he can work out a political resolution once he takes office. Meantime, some media outlets are talking about workarounds for users to keep accessing the app if a ban is put into place, like using something like a VPN. Time is ticking for that ban to go into effect. We are less than 10 days away as we wait for the decision to come down from the Supreme Court on whether to wait it out or move forward. For now, reporting in the studio, I'm Taylor Winkle, Fox 13 News.
All right, and we've seen dynamic pricing over the last few years on things like movie and concert tickets, gasoline prices, and even ride shares. Prices surge when something is in high demand. But a new study tracked dynamic pricing for online shopping, and it reveals the best times to get the lowest prices. You've seen dynamic pricing when high demand can cause prices to surge on things like concert tickets, Uber rides, and gasoline. Now, the data firm Smart Proxy says it's discovered the best and worst times to shop online by tracking prices on dozens of online retailers worldwide, including Amazon, Best Buy, and Wayfair.
We chose 12 random products from most popular categories, and we scraped that data for 33 days with 4-hour intervals.
Dynamic pricing uses algorithms based on supply and demand, competitor pricing, and how often you look at a product or put it in your cart. Here's what they found. For overall online shopping, Smart Proxy says the best time to shop is in the morning between 6 a.m. and noon, particularly Tuesday mornings. And the worst time was Friday mornings.
There are specific categories that tend to fluctuate more in price. For example, fashion category, we see is the #1 category that changes the prices.
On Amazon, Smart Proxy reports prices tend to be lowest on Monday afternoons and most expensive on Tuesday nights. And at Best Buy?
At Best Buy, we see that Friday nights, then nights of Friday offers the best deals, and Saturday mornings are the priciest.
So to avoid dynamic price increases, Smart Proxy suggests shopping during these lower price periods. Also, take a look. You can use incognito mode, which hides your browsing history, or switching devices before you buy, such as from a cell phone to a laptop. That changes the browser. You can also use price tracking apps such as Camel, Honey, or Shop Savvy. There's a bunch of them. But this will show you the history of a price, so you can see when it typically drops. And then you can also usually sign up to get alerts for when the price drops, so you can snap up the item then. Now, if you are a parent, particularly a working parent, you know just how tough it can be to find quality, affordable childcare. Child advocates are calling on the Texas legislature to address the state's crisis, as it can hold parents back from jobs and education. And it's costing Texas $11 billion a year in lost productivity. The shortage of quality child care centers has deepened since the pandemic, when many were forced to close their doors. And the cost can be so high, it can just be more than some families can afford.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
After Lucas was born, his mother, Michaela Mora, faced a tough decision that's all too common.
Once he was born, it didn't really make sense to keep working with the price of daycare for an infant, so I stopped working for 18 months.
And working mother Jasmine Gawana has had to balance the high cost of childcare to make sure her daughter is in good hands.
The cost would rise up because obviously they're on summer break, but I was able to manage, right? I mean, it was a little difficult, but especially with everything that's going on now, right? It was very costly.
State data shows the average cost of childcare for a 4-year-old in Texas, for example, is $9,600 a year. That's $800 a month. The Texas Workforce Commission says growing demand for its vouchers to help low-income families pay for childcare has extended the wait list.
It's about 11 months right now. So for new families who are looking to apply, going on our waiting list right now, could expect a wait for probably a little over a year at this time.
San Jacinto College offers accredited childcare to local families with priority and grants available to SanJack students.
When we are able to get them into our program, at least, you kind of see that sense of relief come over them, and they seem happier. You know, they're getting their work done, they're getting their school done.
But SanJack too has a wait list, which some parents join before the child is even born.
As soon as families know that they're expecting, they want to get on the wait list, and then they just want to make sure that they're calling and ensuring that they're on the wait list.
Experts say quality childcare not only helps children become better students, without it, parents can be prevented from pursuing higher paying jobs or education. The crisis has led some companies, like Turner Industries, to be flexible and supportive of working parents in order to retain good employees.
We make things balanced for our people, and that's something that a lot of companies don't offer their people. And my question is why?
Mora now has Lucas in childcare that allows both of them to thrive.
I think it helps to watch the way my son responds to daycare when we walk in and he's happy to go. It makes me feel better because it shows me that there's nothing wrong.
Yeah, so even though there is basically a year wait for those childcare scholarships, the TWC Workforce Solutions, they encourage families to apply for the scholarships anyway, because spots eventually will open up. Now, if you're looking for childcare, here are some other resources. You've got the Early Reach program. This is by Harris County, United Way, and Baker Ripley. It's actually taking 1,000 applications right now. YMCA Head Start programs, those are out there. Also check with local churches and check your local city and county for programs. You can also check the list of centers that are accredited by Texas Rising Star as well as NACE. That's the National Association for the Education of Young Children. And then some colleges like SanJack offer child care programs. And you can also join community chat groups on Facebook where you can ask other local parents where they take their children. It's a great place to get some tips. You can also check out something called Child Care Aware. They help families to pay for child care. So we've got links to all of this for you on Sullivan Smart Sense on fox26houston.com. The experts we talk to say start early and be sure that you're checking for licensing and accreditation. So the feds are suing a lender over an alleged kickback scheme. Just 2 days before Christmas, the feds sued a home mortgage company for, they say, taking kickbacks, a scheme it believes have cost home buyers thousands of dollars. Dana Fowle with Fox 5's I-Team in Atlanta breaks down what the Consumer Protection Bureau believes was happening.
Well, according to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, in a lawsuit that was filed December 23rd, so just days before Christmas, Rocket Homes, it claims, pressured real estate brokers and agents to not share money-saving information with their own clients. Information like accessing the option of down payment assistance programs that could have saved home buyers, as you said, thousands of dollars. The kickbacks the CFPB are referring to in the lawsuit are this: Rocket Homes, a lender, offered incentives to real estate brokers and agents to send business to them. The other party in this is the Jason Mitchell Group, which is a group of companies nationwide, and it includes Georgia, and says they were a party to the scheme. Now, here's what the CFPB director, Rohit Chopra, had to say. Rocket engaged in a kickback scheme that discouraged home buyers from comparison shopping and getting the best deal at a time when homeownership feels just out of reach for so many. Companies should not be illegally blocking competition in ways that drive up the cost of housing. And I know a lot of you can feel that for sure. Housing is impenetrable at some avenues for folks. So the government is saying that the Mitchell Group offered something that it calls a dog bone award, $250 gift cards. This is to agents who are making the most referrals. So there is the incentive. Reuters, the news agency, reports that Rocket Homes has pushed back on this, calling the evidence flimsy, and says they will fight it. Now, the government has some options if this goes all the way through, fines or penalties, and it is hoping to set up a victim relief fund. We'll keep you updated.
We know you will. And that's a wrap for us. Thanks so much for joining us. Drop me a line on Instagram at Heather Sullivan Fox 26, and we'll see you next time right here on Dollars and Cents.